live stream. We got one or two people on now, but let's see who else hops on when the notification goes out. If nobody hops on, we'll just hang it up and try it again later, but stop. My dog is very impatient right now. Bonnie Smith says, greetings. Hello back. It has been we just lost somebody. It has been a very, very long, very, very hard week. And we'll start, okay, some people are hopping on. Very, very long, very, very hard week. And I am very, very beat up and very, very tired. There we go. Now the numbers are starting to jump up a little bit. I've had a nasty burn on my hand that I acquired during one of the videos that I was filming. Some people hopping on. What's up, man? Glad to see you, brother. And you. From Josh, Jimmy, and Flamas. Yeah, guys, it's been a rough week. Don't drive. I'm not driving at the moment. I've been driving. Trust me. I drove. Well, I'll tell you guys what I've been up to, and then you'll understand why. But I've been driving the last 2 days, kind of nonstop. Really, it was ridiculous. I ended up in my car for something like 24 hours straight. It was horrible. But yeah, so let me tell you a little about what's been going on, and if you guys have any questions, because I did I did advertise this as a Q&A as well as a live stream. So Gregory Stevens says, glad to see you back from Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't go to Atlanta. I don't think I've ever been to Georgia, actually. I want to go back. I want to go up there. Atlanta, their aquarium is top notch. I would love to see it. But I haven't been there, so I don't know who you saw, but it wasn't me. In College Station was snowing here. Yeah, it is so cold. It's bitterly, horrifically cold. Carlos Aguilar, what's up, homie, from South Georgia? Glad you could join us. A couple of references to Georgia straight off the bat. Fama says, yeah, so many questions. That's good. Let me tell you a little bit about what's been going on. So for the last maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, it's hard to tell because you guys are viewing this via the distance between uploads, and those are always offset a little bit after what I'm doing. So my time frame is actually a little bit off of yours looking in. But I've been taking kind of a mental health break, so I haven't been uploading a whole lot of videos. Everybody needs a mental health break once in a while. I don't really take any, so I decided, actually, I forgot to upload a video one morning. For one reason or another, I was extremely busy, and it didn't upload. And I woke up, and a few hours went by, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to upload a video. And then I stopped, and I was like, not worrying about the numbers felt so good. Not having that stress right away on my weekend. I was like, I'm just gonna ride this out for a bit. So the reason there's a big gap in the videos recently is because I've been taking a break for my mental health, and it was amazing. And then I uploaded a very short video, like a 6-minute video, which I shot a few weeks ago. And you'll notice that video is not public anymore, and there's a reason for that. So there's a reason I uploaded a very short video that didn't have a whole lot going on in it. When I take a big break, when I come back, it always takes the YouTube algorithm a bit to catch up again. It always like underperforms the first video I do when I come back, and I knew that was going to happen no matter what I put on there. So I was like, let me do a short one, not a lot going on. Put it in there, exactly what I thought was going to happen, because it always does. And now that video has served its purpose. I privated the video. If you're on the Patreon, you can still watch it. I'm going to put it on there. But now that the algorithm has done its thing to my return video, as planned, my next video is going to be a hell of a video. And the next couple of videos are going to be awesome. They're going to be awesome. I've been putting in so much work to up the ante for what I'm uploading for you guys. So I have just come back from Florida, where I was for a little over a week, camping out of my car, and I can see questions rolling by. I'm going to get to those in a second. I just want to let you guys know where I've been. and camping out of my car, fishing, and filming. Um, I don't want to give away what I did on these videos, but um, the most absurd fight I've ever had with a fish is going to be in one of these videos ever. Out of all the fish that I've caught that you know me for catching, this one blows them out of the water. Insane. I want you guys to notice that burn all the way through the muscle on my thumb that I'm giving some oxygen at the moment. That happened in that fight through the gloves I was wearing. I was wearing big, heavy gloves, trying to jam the spool down, and it burned through the glove through my thumb. That is coming up in a video. Um, Loads of fish. I'm uploading a massive video. Somebody complained like, "Oh, your videos are short now," which is not actually true. They vary over time. I've had videos that are short in the past. I've had videos that are long in the past. This first video that's coming up is going to be big. It's going to be a real big video, and it's going to have loads and loads and loads of fish in it. I had 3 videos worth of material that I'm putting into one video, and that's going to be the return video, and then the crazy one where I get in this massive fight and destroy my thumb with a very crazy bait that I've never ever used before. In fact, I don't think I've seen anyone ever use it on YouTube. In fact, one of the people I was talking to where I was fishing was like, "I've never seen anyone do this before." So that, and then I let you guys vote recently which of the videos on my Patreon page, because I got loads of videos on my Patreon page that are not on the main channel. And in one of those videos, I caught and helped catch multiple fish over 100 pounds constantly. That's all the video is. There's no like big intro. There's no this is what we're doing, this is where we are, blah, 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 all the talking. It's straight into the catching of giant fish, one after the next. That video is going to come to the main channel from the Patreon very soon. So lots of really great videos on the way. So we are back from our mental health break in a big way with lots of cool videos coming up. All right, now let me get to some of these comments. Oh, a bunch of comments on there. I was actually not expecting that many to show up right away. Gregory Stevens says it's snowing in the Mississippi Delta. Yeah, it is offensively cold outside. It's like 27 degrees right now. And I hate the cold, like all forms of the cold. Even like Texas cold, when it gets down to like the 40s, and people from up north are like, "That's not cold." It is to me. I hate it. I hate it so much. Not just because it makes my job hard, but because I hate the cold. My whole body hurts in the cold. It's just absurd. I hate it so much. The best thing that ever happened to me is I did not end up moving to Wisconsin when I was younger, which was a possibility at the time. So yeah, cold weather is nasty. I think snow would make it better for a bit, and then when it melts, it's horrible again. But Peyton Williams, hey, we share the same name, same spelling too, by the way. Peyton. I'm named after Gary Payton, the glove, the famous guard in the NBA. I think that was Gary Payton. Maybe it was Walter Payton. I can't remember. Whichever one the glove was. Somebody look that up and tell me. Dude was so good. He gave Michael Jordan a hell of a time in their games guarding him. That's how good he was. Anyway, Peyton Williams says, "How you doing? Big fan. Finally able to catch one of your live streams." Well, I'm glad you dropped in. Even by the way, even the live streams we're doing, I'm going to start changing the way we're doing them. I've been doing them off my cell phone. I'm going to actually build a setup off my very expensive laptop that I have. I need to get more use out of that. So we're going to have much more professional and better live streams going forward. TMK88 says, "Hello, can you give us a spoiler if you found a python?" I did go looking for Burmese pythons in Florida, so I will disappoint you in 2 separate ways. Number 1, I did not find a python in Florida. Number 2, I was python hunting for the Patreon page, so unless you're on the Patreon, it wasn't going to come to the main channel anyway. But no, I did not end up finding one. That was a timing issue. So the cold front that we have coming through here made its way down to where I was the day I was there. So I was given, because hunting pythons is something that is both easy and hard, especially if you're from out of the area. If you're out of the area and you're driving there, like, a few times a year, like I'm doing, you may not find python for a week. but then you might have a couple of days where you find a bunch. It's off and on. So if you live down there and you're doing it all the time, it's not that hard. But if you're trying to plan a big trip where you only have a couple of days, the chances of finding them like that are much lower. So I met a game warden while I was out there, and he was like, "Let me tell you like my favorite spots to find Burmese python." He gave me like specific like coordinates of where to go in the Everglades to find them. And the day I went to go find them, temperature dropped real low, real fast. So any snakes that would have been on the move are just done. They're not moving. So that was just really bad timing, really bad luck. But I gained enormous amounts of information on where to find them that I wouldn't have gotten if I hadn't been there. So it was not a failure. We didn't catch the snakes, but we learned how to do it the next time. Serp says, I know back in another video you said you didn't carry any self-defense because it wasn't a good idea to escalate. I see that change because of getting shot at. What made you think differently? So I still ride that line. So I only carry a firearm when I'm going into those types of like absurdly dangerous areas. I don't do it all the time. In fact, I would say 99% of the videos you're going to watch moving forward, I do not have one with me. Just no point. I have one in my car when I'm doing car camping videos because you're sleeping in your car, sometimes in sketchy locations. I will have one there. And that's always been the case. When I go to these abandoned places where there are people who might already be beyond the point of talking down, I do think there's a lot of people who, even in the worst of situations, you can talk them down. I've done it professionally. I've had to do it. I've talked people down who were threatening me with weapons. But because I got shot at, I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? If I go to a place, and by the way, this is not, I don't do this when I go to all abandoned places. If I go to an abandoned place that I know has a reputation for danger, meaning there have been incidents before that have been recorded to have been violent or dangerous, and I think, you know what, I'm going to chance it, I'm going to go there. In those circumstances, I will have a weapon with me. But it's very rare that that happens. I would say out of all the videos I've ever filmed, I would think maybe like 3 or 4 locations tops fall into that category. So I don't normally have it. The videos you're going to watch coming up, I don't have it. But when I go back and do crazy things like that, like there's a abandoned hospital in New Orleans I'm desperate to get into. If I find a way to get in there, and I think I have a way to get in there, the basement's flooded. There could be stuff in there. I don't know. But if I go back to that place, I'll have one. Psychic Toad says he's in. I got your messages earlier. I want to see the full picture of the scale reading you sent me. Caught a big fish he did. And he sent me a photo of the scale. Not the scale of the fish, but like the weight measurement. Paul Danino says they knocked out my boy Johnny Walker. Yeah, he sure as hell did. Magomed Ankalaev. That fight was getting real boring for a minute. Johnny Walker came out. If you guys don't know, Johnny Walker, Magomed Ankalaev, two. I don't know if the word up and coming is the correct one, but 2 of the higher ranked guys at light heavyweight in the UFC had a fight a few months ago where Magomed Ankalaev kneed Johnny Walker in the head while he was a grounded opponent, when he was down on the ground, and you can't do that in the UFC. You can do that in one fighting championship, but you can't do that in UFC. So it was declared a no contest. It should have been a disqualification, but they were in Abu Dhabi. So it was declared a no contest. The rematch was booked. Johnny Walker came out in the rematch and was throwing really nice spin kicks. Sometimes guys will throw spin kicks and their form is off, and the kicks they're telegraphed. They don't land. When they do land, there's no power there. His were looking nice. But then he started getting into a pattern of throwing like the same spinning back fist over and over and over, and he started getting into a pattern of dropping his left hand too close and trying to lean out of danger. And he started doing this thing where he would drop his lead hand Normally, when you do that, there's nothing wrong with dropping your lead hand when you're fighting, as long as your shoulder is doing what your hand had been doing before, which is rising up. Sometimes you can raise your elbow, like Destin Poirier raises his elbow. Your shoulder should come up to protect your face. Your other hand should be here. You're in a bladed stance like this, and if you raise your elbow and you lean back a bit while you do this, you can drop this hand, still be extremely well guarded, and guys will get creative. Some guys will do like elbows from here, but usually it's the right hand will come. But anyway, he was doing this weird thing where he would lean back and he stopped bringing his shoulder up or his elbow up. He would lean back and then he'd go off the other direction, which would leave him in a like his left leg would be forward, so he should be bladed, but he was turning and leaning like the other way, and your neck doesn't really have anywhere to turn from here. And Magomed Ankalaev caught him on the right hand, just shoved his chin right into the back of his neck. Do that. Turn your head all the way, tuck your chin down, look forward, and push your chin in, and feel that. And then imagine a man that weighs 205 pounds and punches for a living, punches you in the face, floored him, and then the uppercut that he hit him with was like the one Yoel Romero hit Luke Rockhold with, just took him out. No question on the stoppage. Some guys will get hit and they're still trying to get up, protect themselves, or shell up. He got hit in the face. His head went back into the cage, and he did this. He went like that, like not hands up, but like grabbing onto his face. He was done. Magomed Ankalaev, when he's exciting, he's exciting. It's just that he has a habit of not being exciting. So we'll see what happens. He's probably next for my boy, Alex Pereira, my current favorite fighter. Fishing with a Heart says, been shot at lately. No, not lately. Although somebody did drive by me in Florida in their car, because everyone down Miami way has these cars that have like this really nasty backfire, and his car drove by me and it did that like backfire pop, and I was like, oh my god, not again. But no, I have not been shot at. Bites and Strikes Fishing says, burnout is real. Take care of yourself. Yes, it is. You would know once you start creating for a living. The burnout happens, even on something that most people would consider just recreational. Most people go fishing as an escape from their job. And when it becomes your job, even something as fun as fishing will cause you to have burnout. Hi. She is desperately trying to get my attention behind me. Let's see. Psychic Psycho says, yes, no stress rules, bro. Yeah, trying to stop being so incredibly stressed over things. Now, part of that is just up to YouTube's nonsense algorithm, but I do have faith in the work that I have done and will be putting out. By all accounts, should do well. TR's World of Vacuums. You remember the vacuum shop in Breaking Bad, where really it's like an undercover operation to disappear people? Let me know if that's what you're up to. Anyway, you say, I'm at work in Clear Lake, and the cold here is very brutal. Yeah, it's nasty. It's nasty. Like, it's the kind of cold right now where you go outside, and the first thing you notice is your ears hurt. Like, your ears start stinging, like they're in pain. I hate that. Pays to have a good, hat. Clavet, I don't know, says, you got shot at. Take as long as you need. She's good. Honestly, getting shot at wasn't part of the burnout. In fact, one of the things that really bothered me afterwards, I had to sit down and really kind of think about it and process it and decide how to mentally cope with it, was how much I enjoyed it. Once I started like running through the trains and stuff, there was a moment where I realized that I was enjoying that too much. So it's kind of like, I don't like to use the word adrenaline junkie, because I don't know if there really is such a thing, or if there is, it's a much more serious version than what I was doing, but that's kind of the idea that comes to mind. Like, the enjoyment of something so blatantly unsafe made me concerned about my position on the matter. I'm looking at the temperature over there on the TV, has a thermometer on it, look at temperature, and it's 26 degrees. Just stupid. Stupid. I made the right decision to go to Florida for a bit. I did it because I knew this weather was not going to let up, and I wanted to film some videos. And nothing's happening right now. If I was to go out to any part of Texas right now, try to film stuff, it probably would not work out. I'm sure I could think of some exception to that, but not one with big, powerful, aggressive fish. And that's what I wanted, and that's what we got. All right. I like it when you guys talk to each other in here. Easton Man 2011 says, "Hey, love your videos and all the content you do. I just want to say, keep it up, man. You're doing amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you. I I hope you guys appreciate the. Hang on one second. I hope you guys appreciate the work that I'm putting into the next couple of videos because I got beat up so badly. This trip was physically one of the hardest ones I've done, which is it's strange and it's not strange. What I've noticed, the drive up there, across there, is getting easier for me. The drive out is cake now, even though it's ridiculously long, like 17 hours to get to South Florida from Houston without traffic problems. The drive there is getting easier. I am getting very, very familiar with South Florida. I think I've been there like 10 times in the last year and a half at this point. So I've been there quite a few times, filming and fishing the whole time. So I know the areas very well. I'm starting to get really good at fishing for those species down there. um, but living out of your car is hard. It's really hard, especially when you are outdoors filming constantly all day. And I took it up a notch for this level, like the physicality of it all. As you're going to see in these videos, the stuff I'm doing is kind of ridiculous. It was fun, but it was exhausting. And when I got home, the drive home was one of the hardest I've ever done. I don't know why. I think it's because I didn't take this big gap in the middle to rest. I tried to just kind of blow through it because I wanted to get back here before this nasty freezing weather came in, which I did because it would make the roads unsafe. The drive back was horrible. When I got home and I was like, okay, start winding down, getting clean, eating some real food. That was another thing I hate so much is you're basically living off of, snack food from gas stations. It's horrible. Um, when I was kind of like changing clothes and getting clean and getting some real food, like I was just like my whole body was just shaking because I was so tired, I was so exhausted. And then I went to sleep. I got home, I think at around like 11 no, 11 a.m. I got home in the morning afternoon area of the day because I drove all day and all night and all morning. And then I fell asleep, slept. I want to say I slept close to 20 hours. And then we've been working all day. We've been editing the video. Paul Nino says, "You ever need a bodyguard when you go on your adventures? I'm down. I appreciate the offer. I think I'm good though. I also don't want to be held legally liable for anything anyone else does. If your bodyguard ends up being needed, there's legal requirements that come after that. So I'd rather it just be me. Your Honor, I swear. I was so scared. Didn't know what else to do." Don Gatto says, "Sounds like a sweet trip." It was very hard. You see that cut right there. In addition to the burn on my thumb, the line in that fight cut through my utility glove and cut into my hand. So yeah, physically it was a really tough trip. I don't know if you can see it on the quality of the live stream on my phone. My hands are beat to shit. Like the skin is just calloused and peeling off. I have like 1,000 different cuts on my hands and stuff. Also, I was doing most of it on one knee. So I just actually bought a second one of these. For those of you who don't know, I guess I should update you. One of the reasons, in addition to a mental health break, one of the reasons that I have been filming so little or uploading so little recently, mental health break, horribly cold weather, bad for filming, and I was severely injured You see it happen in one of the videos I did recently, where like I was trying to reach for a lure in the water and I just like fall over and start like kind of yelling in pain. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're so dramatic." I tore my meniscus, if you're curious. So that thick layer of cartilage that goes between your femur and your tibia and has like crisscross anchor points to stabilize your knee, I tore that. Um, and my knee has basically not been working for a month. It's getting better. I'm on anti-inflammatories. I am taking tons of like fish oil and glucosamine, and I'm stretching it and I'm working it. I have a massage gun. I'm giving it time to work on its own without the use of uh, the uh, the braces that I wear. This is a very nice Anaconda fight wear brace. These are for jiu-jitsu, so they're for action. They're very moldable, but they're also incredibly durable and tough, and they really do stabilize your knee well. I've been wearing that filming for the last week and a half. So now that my knee is getting a little bit better, and I can walk on it with the use of a brace, we're going to get back to filming a whole lot more. That's one of the reasons we haven't been filming a whole lot, is because I've been having trouble walking. Ryan Radden says, "What's up, wild man? Getting things back to the way they should be." By the way, I think in a post I made a few bordering a month ago, I think I mentioned that I was going to start uploading way more stuff. I'm going to go the opposite way. Not like, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm not going to upload anything anymore. I'm saying that I'm going to go back to once a week, but maybe even once every now and then you will see once every 2 weeks. The videos I'm going to upload are going to be much bigger, much more involved, much more effort going into them. Big, huge trips, big, huge fish being targeted in weird, very challenging ways. Each of these videos are going to show an enormous amount of effort going forward. Dongato says, "ust." I'm assuming that's a typo. Dongato says, "Must have been a bull shark." Oh, the big fish that I was saying. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch the video. Return of the King. My least favorite of the 3 Lord of the Rings films. From Garvino. I appreciate the sentiment. It's still a good movie, by the way. But the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, is a perfect movie. I watched that movie, back in the day when it came out, once or twice since then, and I really liked it. And then about a year ago, I decided I'm going to rewatch it again, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my god, Fellowship of the Ring is like one of the best movies ever made. Like, it's incredible. And then I watched the sequel, which I've seen all these before, so I rewatched the sequel, and I'm like, the sequel is not quite as good. The highlight is obviously Andy Serkis as Gollum, incredible. You can tell where like the studio or like release time, not release timing, run time of the film started kind of becoming a consideration and stuff. Like all the footage they cut out with like what happens to, and by the way, I have not read the books, so I'm speaking purely from the point of view of someone watching a film. But like the what happens to Saruman, like how that story kind of comes to a close, just kind of gets like chopped up in the film, and it's like you don't really get to see the closure for this major player in the film. So the second one not quite as good; it's a little bit weaker. And then the third one I thought was the weakest, which is silly that one won the Oscar, because it should have been the first one that won the Oscar. Uh, TR's World said, "Didn't that happen to Jeremy Wade? Getting the skin burned off his thumb?" Yes, a very similar situation. Very similar situation occurred to me a few days ago that you will have to watch. Jose Aguilar says, or I'm sorry, not Jose, Joe, I misread that. My eyes are getting bad. Joe Aguilar says, "How are you doing? Love your videos. They're all good. I appreciate it. Keep up the work from your friend from Austin, Texas." Thank you. I actually have a planned trip. I don't have a date yet, but I do want to go to Austin for all the big carp that are up there. I found a cool spot I want to try under a waterfall, or I think a waterfall. It's like a dam, so it may not be a waterfall, but I think water kind of runs down off the dam. There's like a deep pool. I want to try to catch some really big carp out of there. That's something I haven't done yet on the channel, is catch like big carp, like 30s and 40s. I want to do a big carp fishing campaign soon. Which reminds me, Spencer Wonder from Terraform Tackle sent me a message on Instagram that I didn't even realize I got until like 2 days after he sent it to me. He was in the same part of Florida that I was going to be in. I didn't even realize it because I didn't see that message until I was like driving home. I need to respond to him because he actually is responsible for making one of the videos I'm going to upload possible. So Paul Danino says, "Can you make a video on alligators in Houston bayous, please?" Yeah, yes. Here's the thing. Um, there would have to be, first off, it's the wrong time of year for that, so that would come later. I do want to make videos on other species of animals. However, with something like alligators, because they're rightfully protected, and the handling of them is monitored very specifically and for good reasons. So, to make a good, proper video on alligators and their conservation in Texas and to show them to the camera the way I want to, I will probably need to go through like maybe the state, or at the very least probably a licensed alligator trapper. That actually probably be the easiest way to go about it. In fact, I actually thought about getting a license for that. I might actually get back into that, getting a license as a alligator trapper here in Texas. There's a lot of red tape to it. um, it's not like you can just go catch alligators whenever you want. There's a whole system to it, but it would provide me the opportunity to have more filming options involving reptiles. So I was thinking about doing that because it's quite doable. So yeah, I do want to do a video on alligators. I will have to go through some proper channels to get the things in order to make that happen the way I want to make it happen. Tam, I always say words like phonetically, like I'm trying to like read for the first time. I'm like Tam K888. If there's like a way that you say that, like is it Tam Kate? Like I don't know how you say that. But anyway, I love seeing your behind the scenes in real time on Instagram. Yes, I love posting stuff on Instagram as like an escape. I do post like some work photos on there, but overall, like TikTok has become part of the reason I downloaded TikTok and started using it is because I'm promoting myself there. Um, I don't really use Facebook at all because it's just old people arguing about politics all the time. So, or spreading conspiracy theories about shit that's not real. Uh, but like all my social media is almost entirely just work, and Instagram is my escape. So I'll upload fun stuff. I have a fun time taking photographs that I find pleasing to the eye and posting them there with no like work implications behind them. So I appreciate you watching the behind the scenes stories I posted on Instagram. If you are interested in more behind the scenes and much more in depth behind the scenes, longer behind the scenes, um, that all goes to Patreon. I film pretty much constantly, and I will take a lot of behind the scenes from videos or videos that don't get made, um, or things that'll happen, during or between videos, and I'll go to Patreon as a behind the scenes video. Victor Albert says, I grew up in Wisconsin. Yeah, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. It's insane. I knew someone from Wisconsin, would have been almost 15 years ago. And she told me that like you can't just walk outside in the winter, like if after you have like a shower, or your hair will freeze. And I was like, nah, why would anyone elect to stay there? Like, it's beautiful. That's one of the reasons I think it's during the summertime it's gorgeous. During the wintertime it's like what is the Norse hell called? What is that called? What is hell called in Norse mythology? There's got to be a name for it. I don't know what it is, but anyway, actually, I think the earliest interpretations of Gehenna, which is the Hebrew word used for like the modern like Christian version of hell, the actual references to it that people in the modern era draw from, it's referred to as Gehenna, and a lot of the earlier iterations describing it actually describe it as being cold because a lot of prisons at the time were underground and they were cold. The things you learn. Tara's World Vacuum says, we got snow here in Webster. Yeah, I wouldn't mind some snow. I'm telling you. I think that would kind of, when you never get to see snow and you finally get to see some snow, it makes the fact that you have to put up with the cold a little bit better because it's like, oh, it's snowing. Magical. Ryan Radden says, I love the cold because it's so damn hot in Houston, Nacogdoches most of the year. Yes, it is. It is really hot, dangerously hot. I was trying to think the other day, are there states that constantly have the best of both worlds? I feel like, Wisconsin has beautiful summers. The winters will literally kill you if you're not careful. Texas kind of has the worst of both. The summers will kill you, and the winters, they won't kill you, but they're just awful. They're miserable. They're no fun. I don't know. Maybe Seattle, maybe Portland. They get a lot of rain over there, but from what I understand, their weather is fairly nice. I used to want to live in Seattle. I got real close once, actually, when I was still in the zoo industry. I got down to like the last of multiple sets of interviews to be the safety director for the Seattle Aquarium. I was so close to getting it. Didn't quite work out in the end. All right, scam likely. How come freshwater red drum have better color than the ones in saltwater? I'm not sure that they do. What sources are you drawing on to make that conclusion? Unless you're drawing upon an organized study, it could just be the individuals you happen to have seen. I don't know of any information that demonstrates that academically that is an actual fact. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the ones you might have personally encountered might have appeared more colorful, whereas that may not actually be something that applies to them as a species. Send me a link or a source to that if you have one, because I'd like to read about it. It would be pretty cool. Typically speaking, though, with cold-blooded animals in color, as far as that's concerned, a lot of animals really, but especially cold-blooded animals, typically speaking, the environment that they're in is going to have a lot to do with the shade of the color that they have. Animals typically evolve and adapt to match their surroundings for safety reasons for that animal. So you'll see animals of the same color. I don't know why I'm playing this fishing line. Animals of the same color, their shade of color will vary depending upon where you find them, just because they are attempting to blend it. It could just be that. Peyton Williams says, "Did I catch a snook?" I caught a couple of snook on Patreon. I have snook fishing Patreon videos. Second Toad says, "Great to have you back, good sir. I've got some hella good secret spots to impart upon you, my friend. Let's fish again soon. I'd love to. I don't know if you've been fishing this 26-degree weather. I don't. Maybe you could get like freshwater trout to bite, but there's only like one or two spots in Texas where that happens. And honestly, I don't like fishing for rainbow trout. The audience I have doesn't really respond well to it, so I don't want to do it. Charles World of Vacuums. I would love to film an alligator gar fishing video by Clear Creek. From what I understand, where Clear Creek opens up, so like downstream when it starts to widen out, there are some decent alligator gar down there, from what I've been told. I personally have not done a lot of fishing in that area. But give it a shot and tell me what happens. Alligator gar are going to be hard to come by for a bit. With this freeze being the way it is, it's going to have to warm up a little bit. Once it does, though, I am going to go back to targeting them kind of obsessively. I wanted to move away from that, and I did for a while. I think my channel suffered as a result. It's kind of like when John Candy lost a lot of weight. So if you don't know John Candy, he's like one of the greatest comedians of all time. Film comedians, planes, trains, and automobiles. He had a very famous run on SNL. He's fantastic in everything he's in. He appears in Home Alone as maybe the devil, maybe not. We don't know. John Candy, very big gentleman. He's like 6'2", 6'3", and he's very heavy man. Incredibly funny. And there was a point in his career where he lost a lot of weight for his health, and his career went downhill immediately because people they knew him for being the big funny guy. And then when one of those things was gone, the big part people were like, well, I kind of like you like the other way. I like you more that way. And then he gained the weight back, and like the performance of his films and TV went skyrocketed right back up. Uh, so like I didn't want to be known as like the alligator gar person. I wanted to have more variety to the show, and there will be more variety. But what I've come to realize is that turning your nose up at some form of success when no success at all is guaranteed to you is not always a smart thing. So I'm going to kind of go back to largely focusing on large alligator gar. When it warms up, that'll kind of be the bulk of the channel because just people seem to like it. They seem to like that the most. Um, I'm sorry. I'm gonna I actually don't know how to pronounce the name right there. It's an alphabet that I'm not familiar with. It looks like maybe Eastern European of some form or maybe Russian. Let me know. Get a wave of a hand and hello friend, hello back. I'd love to know how to say that. Flamus, what settings do you record your GoPro footage in? For example, 4K, 30 FPS, wide angle. I use the how many? Hang on a second. I have one right over here somewhere. I don't know where it went. I think I have like 60 frames per second in like the 1080p setting most of the time. And then I will do like slow-mo shots of fish releases and stuff like that in the I think it's the 240 frames per second 1080p for the really nice like high quality slow-mo. I'd have to double check that though. I do change them from time to time, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Serp says, had a run-in with a knife-throwing schizophrenic man while flathead fishing the Ohio River up here. That sounds fun. And yes, it was scary. At no point did I think a gun was the answer. Did call the cops though. Yeah, see, most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's not. That's what a lot of people don't seem to understand. There's a shortcut mentality. I call it shortcut mentality when you're dealing with hostile people, which is when you're trying to deal with a hostile person, your brain will shortcut to the most effective method of eliminating the problem possible. So if somebody is getting violent or potentially violent with you and you do not have a weapon, you don't have that option to shortcut to. So you will be creative and think of a way to talk that person down. Whereas if you have a weapon, you will be tempted to shortcut straight to this is the answer to my problem, using the weapon to try to get the person to calm down. That's one of the reasons I actually, when I worked for the Houston Zoo, when I was in their safety department, we wanted to up our security license. Hang on, I'm plugging something into this phone. We wanted to improve the letter grade of our security license, and one of the ways you can do that is go have your people go through like arms training. So I was selected to do it, and then after I did it, the director of our department was like, you know what, I think I'm going to have you just carry one, and I said no, like I'm not going to do it, and it got heated, and I threatened to quit, and that was too valuable to that team to be allowed to leave. So I kind of won. And I was like, we cannot have people carrying weapons. Like, it cannot happen because somebody will shortcut to that weapon when they don't need to and will shut us down. Like, our zoo will get shut down. So I'm very, very pleased that I won that argument. All right. Kara's World of Vacuum says, is Brock Lesnar back in the UFC? I doubt it. I doubt it. He's getting old. He's getting old. Although the UFC doesn't work with USADA anymore, so I guess there's always the possibility. They're getting kind of desperate for their list of fights for UFC 300. All the potential stars and champs are booked or injured, and they're getting desperate. UFC 300 is probably just going to look like a decent pay-per-view, not this magical night of fights. But one of the ways they could build that up is get him back for it, because he was at 100 and 200. And even now, even way out of his prime, getting up there in years, he would be a massive draw. Sick Toad says that catfish was 44 inches, bro. That is massive. 44 inches or 44 pounds. Either way, that's ridiculously heavy and long. That's a big fish. Jamal Hill is next, according to Pereira. Yeah, Glover Teixeira tweeted, "See you soon" to Magomed Ankalaev. Jamal Hill probably is next, being that he was the champion before being injured. But he's a weirdo. Jamal Hill, I think, was had like some domestic violence stuff come up. He's injury prone. There's a very good chance that he will be booked to be next, but it won't happen because he's just kind of a live wire in that way. So Pereira knocks him out though. That fight is not close. Not close. My boy Poetan got it. Brady Baxter says, "What are your thoughts on the argument that sharks are actually overpopulated in Florida? Every time I ask someone who kills sharks in Florida for population control, I never get a straight answer. It's because they don't have one. Um, they're not overpopulated. They are more well populated. They are closer to what their population should be in Florida. And I think I say this like every time this subject gets brought up. I mention a documentary I've seen about foxes where somebody says that they try to say foxes in the UK are overpopulated, but they're not. They're just doing well. And humans don't like to see other animals doing well because it reminds us of our own limited position of our own limited existence and sense of purpose on the planet when we realize that we're not inherently supposed to be doing better than other animals. We just may or may not be at any given time. So yeah, no, sharks are not overpopulated. They are still very much in decline globally, and in areas where they are very well populated, that's the way it's supposed to be. It just there are enormous amounts of academic research that show that areas with large shark populations are healthier by and large. Their overall ecosystem. What happens is people in Florida, and this happens in Australia too. It happens in a lot of places, but those two places happens a lot. Fishermen will frequent the same area over and over and over. Sharks are really smart animals, like really smart animals, and they will see these fish in distress and they'll realize that, hey, whenever these guys are doing this thing where they drag fish out of the water, I can take that fish real easy, and they do because they're sharks. That's what they do. They take their fish, when the opportunity is presented to itself. And that annoys people. So people say, because this animal has annoyed me, therefore it must be controlled now. It's like, no, your personal preference in how you choose to spend your recreational time has literally no bearing on the well-being of this animal as a species. People just conflate those two things. Like, this animal has inconvenienced me, therefore I think there should be less of them. And then because they know that's wrong, because they know that there's no actual justification for that mindset, they have to come up with some kind of nonsensical argument of like, well, their population needs to be controlled. Just, if anyone ever says that to you, just shoot back without even hesitating. Just shoot back. Why? And then they'll be like, well, they can't be overpopulated. Ask them, like, who says they're overpopulated? Like, based on what? Use that phrase. Based on what? Because people will only be able to tell you, like, well, I lost a fish to a shark. Okay, well, there's a shark in that spot. Well, it happens to a lot of people. According to what? According to who? Like, back people into a corner when they say this nonsense. You have no way out of it. They have no way out of it. Based on what? Based on what academic information? Because your personal experience is not academic information. And that is the information that is necessary to determine whether an animal is or is not overpopulated. By and large, fishermen are the worst people in the world to give you correct information about ecology. Sorry, but that is the way it is. Generally speaking, fishermen are the last people in the world who need to be trying to give information, factual information out to people on ecology, because they tend to know the least about it, and they tend to have the biggest vested interest in continually knowing the least about it. So don't get your information from a fisherman. I'm an exception because I have a professional background in this before I was a fisherman. Let's see. Watson says, love your videos. I love that your name is Watson. That's so cool. You need to hang out with a guy named Sherlock. That'd be awesome. If you don't mind playing second fiddle to your friend all the time. Yeah, this is kind of a similar to what I just said. Jason Fulton replying back to Brady Baxter says sharks are an apex predator of the ocean. He knows that. They are very annoying when fishing. Yeah, see, that's the key word is annoying. Yet, how do humans know when they are out of control? Nature works itself out. That's the thing. The humans, the people that are saying that, are not the ones who know. Those are the 19-year-old broccoli top uh, fishing bros trying to give you academic information from a thing that happened to them last week. It's like, no, no, you don't know. They don't know. They don't know anything. I was at Animal Con, and I was the panel. What do you call it? I led the panel, so I was the moderator of the panel with these fishing YouTubers, and one of them started going into this discussion right here, and I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I'm gonna have to correct this guy in front of these people. Like, this is gonna be so embarrassing, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to do it." And then he didn't quite go as far as I was afraid he was gonna go, but you could tell he wanted to. You could tell he wanted to. Thank you so much. Oh, this is again. This is another one of these names. I wish there was a way I could figure out how to say your name. It's just not in a an English alphabet. Not unfortunately, I have a shortcoming in the sense that I only speak one language, so I don't actually know how to pronounce your name, which I find something to be very important. But your sentiment is still appreciated. Thank you so much for the channel. I've been watching you. Oh, from Russia for a long time. Yeah. Um, it's so cool to go to Russia. Russia is such a cool country. Cool country. Surfside Jetty channel at RVOTB Eats. Happy 2024 from Houston. Dilligaff fishing. Ever been bow fishing? A couple of times. I sometimes will acquire bait by bow fishing. The videos, it's a little bit harder to do than normal fishing. Like, I'm just not that talented with a bow and arrow. Even despite the practice I've put into it, I have a fishing bow in my garage. Um, every now and then I'll make a video on it. They don't ever really do that well, and I find it is a harder way to get bait than just cast netting, and those videos do great. So on the whole, it's like, why should I go bow fishing? Like, I personally, for me, for my channel, I don't really have a good reason to do it because nobody watches them, and the other technique you would use to get bait, everybody watches it when I do that one. So I'll just use the cast net. Peyton Williams says, you and Fish and Trips are my favorite YouTubers in this area. We both appreciate that. Would you ever fish with him? He films some freshwater stuff as well. Possibly, yeah. I don't have any objections to collaborating with people. It's just that schedules are harder to work out than appears. Also, it's just with this cold weather, everything's up in the air as far as what I'm going to be doing. I might be going right back to Florida in like 3 weeks. My wife and I talked about this quite a bit. No, I'm not saying that like, oh, we argued about it. I'm like, no, we plan this together. Um, I'm gonna stay here to edit a bunch of stuff, and I have a really big video idea that I want to do. Psychic Psych Toad, I'm gonna have to have your help with this one, I think. But I have a really big video project that I want to do, and that'll take about a week to complete, maybe a little bit less than that. So I'm going to edit these videos and upload these for a week or two, do that big video so that it's ready to go, and then I'm probably going to go right back to Florida because I have some other things I've never done before and some really good info on where to catch some really phenomenal giant fish in a part of Florida I haven't actually visited yet. So I'm probably going right back there in a few weeks. Jay Bo says, man, come back to New Orleans. I plan on it. I found a couple of really good locations for alligator garden in New Orleans. I also have, I found an abandoned factory in the middle of the swamp that I figured out how to get to. So I'm going to go explore that. And when I say in the middle of the swamp, I mean like literally there's like a swamp island in the middle of this river with an abandoned factory on it. And I'm going to go out there and film there. So yeah, I have plans for Louisiana. And by the way, come back to New Orleans. Honestly, I don't need an excuse to go to New Orleans. It is my favorite place on earth. Um, New Orleans is a city that I will go to for any reason at all. Any reason at all that I have to go to New Orleans, I will go there. I was really upset on the way back from this trip that I was leaving in a race with the weather, because if I wasn't in a race with the weather, I was going to stop in New Orleans. All right, Flamas says, you need someone to come carry oh, if you need someone to come carry equipment, I got you. I appreciate it. I think I'm good at the moment. Carvino says, shut up, grip. I don't know if that is a reference to or who you're talking to. Ryan Radden says, I tore my meniscus. Oof, tore my meniscus playing baseball a while back, and that is painful. I had to have surgery. You sure you don't need surgery? Well, I have a follow-up visit with my physician in like a week and a half. So we're gonna reassess the situation then. I hope not. I don't think I will, but I hope not. Serp says, do strange bait or strange location videos do better on average? Yes. Yes, absolutely they do. 100%. Here's something that this is one of the biggest concerns I have with YouTube in general, is that a lot of other YouTubers, all they have to do is post what they're doing. Like, that's the title of their video, like kayak fishing with live shrimp, fishing the swamp for redfish, or fishing the creek for whatever bites. Like, they're just saying what they're doing, and their videos all do incredibly well. Incredibly well. And these are guys who have the same number or less than subscribers than I have. Some have a little bit more. And then I'll post a video with that kind of title, and it just bombs like embarrassingly badly. And it seems that this is one of the problems I'm dealing with right now with YouTube. It seems that for any video to do well on my channel, it has to be something absurdly creative and absurdly I don't want to say clickbaity, but getting close to that. Otherwise, it just will not do well. So I feel like every video I make, I have to up the ante to come up with some absurd way to make the video. And that is one of the reasons I got so exhausted I had to take a mental health break. I wish I could just post videos with those types of titles. Like Carl, Fish with Carl, or formerly Carl and Alex Fishing, will post a video, and granted, he's got like 500,000 subscribers at this point, so it's not quite the same. But like, he'll post a video that'll be like fishing the abandoned rock quarry. Like, the title is just saying what he's doing. And granted, his videos are a class apart from even other people better than me. But I want to get to that point where I can just title the video what the video is. Exploring a band. Well, that one actually might do well. I'm not going to say that out loud. But, being able to say, catching giant sturgeon in the creek, like, and have that video do well. And then I tried doing that, and the video bombed. Like, it's weird. It feels almost, the word I want to use is not an actual word that should be applied to situations like this, because there is no luck. There's no such thing as luck. There's always a reason behind everything that happens, or randomness is a better word. But it feels like bad luck. It feels like bad luck that, like, my YouTube channel has almost like been. These are the feelings that you get tempted to think. You get tempted to think like my YouTube channel has just been randomly selected by the algorithm to not do well unless I do like crazy shit. That's how it feels. I'm still trying to work out what the actual issue is. Still trying to work it out, because the videos I make, the fish that I catch, really good. Certainly better than a lot of people who have more success numbers wise than I do. So trying to find a base between always doing the crazy and making videos the way everyone else seems to is the thing I'm working on right now. Let's see. Mike Jew says, hope you get to feeling better soon. Love your videos. Keep it up. Yeah, except with the exception of my knee, I feel great. I especially feel good after getting some great videos on that trip and feel energized. But yeah, my knee is still a bit of an issue. Let's see. How about a video looking for snakes when it warms up outside? Yeah, no, that's going to happen. When I go back to Florida, I'm going to go back to the Everglades. I'm going to try to catch some python. What I was going to do, actually, originally, and I will go back and do this, I was going to do like a big trip to the Everglades where I was going to spend like 3 days in the Everglades. So in addition to catching python, I was going to be fishing every day and exploring, and that was all going to be this big, huge video. And this cold front just kind of ruined it. So on the return trip to Florida, or maybe a little bit even later this year, I do intend to do a big, long expedition into the Everglades. Let's see. Jimmy, our adventures. Nice. Do you get more views on TikTok or YouTube? YouTube. But I'm doing pretty good on TikTok. Once you get in a rhythm, TikTok is pretty easy to do. But I've been doing YouTube for years and years and years. I have so much time dedicated to YouTube. I have such a base established with YouTube that it's just there's no fair comparison to a social media site that I've just started on. Brady Baxter says, loving the Patreon. I'm still in the process of binge watching all the exclusive videos. What's the largest snake I've ever caught? I appreciate your support on the Patreon. Thank you so much. There's a good number of videos on there. I hope you enjoy them. More to come. Largest snake I ever caught. Well, I haven't caught a python yet. I'm trying to think what it would be. Largest snake I've ever handled was like a constrictor at the zoo. Largest snake I've ever caught would probably have to be something like I don't know, one of the really, really large rat snakes or coach whip snakes that I've caught that are like 6.5 feet long. So not huge, not huge snakes that I've caught. Not by like they're long, but they're not like huge. Riley Owen says, Muspelheim or Helheim? Are those? Is that the Norse hell? Is that what that is? Helheim sounds like something Thor would say. Ari Apper Ari Apper Kodum. Louisiana weather is crazy right now. Yeah, all the southern United States are crazy. On the way back from South Florida, like if this is Florida, like the interior of the area I'm mapping, like Florida is kind of shaped like that. As I was driving up, I got to about, I think it's Tallahassee, and the temperature went from like 70 to like 30, like instantly. So all the southern United States, with the exception of South Florida, are just in absolute cold weather turmoil. Bonnie Smith says, what pounds of mono do you use in your Salus X3000 reel? I have 80-pound braid, Suffix Performance braid to be specific. 80-pound Suffix Performance braid, and then I have a 100-pound Suffix monofilament top shot. Probably about 20 feet worth of 100-pound monofilament on top of the braid. That's just the way I do it. Connected with an FG knot. Reback says, what are your thoughts on the whole vegan animal rights movement that seems to be taking over the wildlife conservation space, social media? I haven't seen that it is taking over. Again, everyone's got their own, everyone's got their own like algorithm feed, if you will. The algorithm tries to suggest different things to you. So I may not be seeing that personally, but it might be something that you're seeing quite a lot of. Veganism is something that is largely inherently what's the word I'm looking for? Illogical system of thought. Vegetarianism is fine. Veganism is inherently illogical. The idea behind veganism is, on the one hand, believing that humans have achieved like a higher sense of morality and therefore should no longer utilize any other species of animal in any manner that is not to that animal's will. I think would be the best way to describe it. So a lot of people would say, like, oh, it means you can't eat animals. Well, actually, veganism really means you can't utilize the animal in any manner that doesn't specifically like have a consent behind it. So you can't milk a cow. You can't, shear a sheep. You can't drive a car. By the way, that's the one that they all seem to ignore because you're oil products are from decomposed animal remains, which again happened 65 million years before people were even around. So I don't think they mind. I don't think they care that much. Um, they haven't cared about anything in a long time, a real long time. Veganism is inherently illogical. Um, there's a line to walk. On the one hand, you have people in the fishing hunting space who only see a value in another animal if they can use it in some way that is pleasurable or utilitarian in a purpose for themselves. So like, oh, can I eat this animal? Well, then it has some kind of value to me. Does this animal produce milk? Does it produce something I can wear? Well, then it has value to me. I think Dwight Schrute has a line about that. Something about like Angela wants a cat sculpture on a cake, I think, and Dwight's like, it's nonsensical. Cats don't produce meat, milk, and like they or wool for clothing. And it's like she says something like that. I'm getting the line a little bit fuddled, but basically, on the one hand, you have people who only see value in an animal as far as how it can be used by a human, and you have people on the other side who say, no, humans cannot utilize animals in any way whatsoever. And it's like there's a middle ground. Number one, we are an animal that has evolved beyond its own place in nature, is how I would put it. We are no longer a true part of the environment in the sense that other animals are. However, we still have the biological design and need to draw from our environment to a point. Um, I don't. It's it's just so weird the way people with a persuasion of veganism will say like it's immoral to hey, you're okay. My dog's barking at another dog. Come here. I heard it. Come here. Baby girl, come here. I don't bark at me. She's very mad. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. She's running in circles. Anyway, you think like, oh, it's evil or it's morally wrong to utilize or kill another animal, and then like I heard someone say this the other day, and I thought that's a very poignant way to put this. There's no such thing as a humane death in nature, is the way they put it. A lot of people think like, oh, an animal, if it avoids predators its whole life, it'll die peacefully of old age. And it's like, no, it probably does die of some disease. It'll die in a way where like it can't eat anymore. It'll die because I was reading about whales and the way that whales die if they die of old age, and they actually have a muscular valve that they will physically insert into their blowhole. Certain species of baleen whales, when they're swimming at depth to avoid water being forced in under pressure. And what researchers have found is that when these species of baleen whales die, that muscle is inserted into the channel for their blowhole. And the thing is, that's a voluntary motion. It's like raising your arms when you're standing. Like, you have to consciously do this. If I were to go unconscious, my arms would go down. So the whale, at the end of its life cycle, when it could no longer swim to the surface for air because it was too weak, intentionally closed that muscle in its blowhole and allowed itself to suffocate. That's how they die. When they die of old age, they die of voluntary suffocation. And it's really strange. Whales are absurdly intelligent, even by human standards. They're incredibly smart and emotionally intelligent. And the question becomes like, are these animals consciously deciding like, my life is over, like this is it, let's go? It's interesting. But anyway, there's no humane death in nature. That's what I was getting at. All forms of death in nature are unpleasant. They are unpleasant. In fact, there's a lot to the idea that human death is not peaceful. Everyone thinks they're going to die peacefully of old age in bed, and that happens for some people. For most people, it doesn't happen that way. Most people go due to some illness or complication due to illness or something. Or anyway, a lot more people than you would think typically don't have this peaceful, unawares passing in their sleep. It doesn't happen to a lot of people. Um, so yeah, the idea that we are in a position where we morally cannot utilize any other animal for any purpose is it's a philosophical take on the world that is not founded on anything other than um, an opinion based on an emotion. Not to say that it's wrong, it's to say that you can't prove that that's correct. And also, you typically can't find a vegan who's not in some way a hypocrite. They are negotiating with their own belief system about what part they're going to follow versus why it's okay if they don't follow this part over here. There will be some part of the concept of veganism that a vegan will not follow because they simply can't, or it is unavoidable for that particular person. So they negotiate with the idea as to why it's okay for their practice of veganism to evolve this part but not this part. So yeah, no, there's not a lot to it. Humans need to utilize certain animals for certain things. However, I am also very much of the opinion that we utilize far too many species of animals, far too regularly, far too carelessly, and we could pull back tremendously on that, and for the benefit of everyone. Jimmy R. Adventure says, I caught a 7-foot coach whip and a 6-foot bull snake. Nice snakes. Really nice snakes. Bull snakes are cool. I caught my first bull snake in Idaho. And that's on the Patreon, by the way. Ryan Radden, I'm taking wildlife management classes at SFA in Nacogdoches. That's a good school. There's a creek to fish, called Lenana Creek that runs right next to the campus. We also have an AG pond on campus that people fish. I fished Lenana Creek a couple of times. Those videos are on the Patreon. But I know the creek you're talking about. I have family in Nacogdoches, so I've been there hundreds of times because we'd go visit them all the time growing up, even till the present. So that creek, I think it's actually on a map. It's called Lenana Bayou. Amazing, clear water, hundreds and thousands of sunfish, really good small to medium sized bass fishing on like light tackle. Really, really beautiful place to fish. That is a great spot. I know exactly what you're talking about. Jimmy R. Having trouble scrolling. Jimmy R. Adventures says, "Have you been able to, or have you been to the Moon River Ranch down in Waco? There's a stretch of the Brazos there that is magical." I looked it up on a map, because I think you mentioned that last time. I looked it up on a map and I was trying to find ways to access the river and all that. You say it's magical. I will take your word for it. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of features there that I can see from a map. Again, my limited perspective on a map versus your experience. I couldn't see anything where I was like, oh, this is why, or this is where the fish will be, or I'd love to know what you mean by magical. But I'll take your experience over my viewing of a map any day. So I haven't been there yet, but I have looked at it on a map. And I do have another video that I want to film in Waco, that I can only film in Waco for a certain reason that has to do with why Waco's famous. But if I ever get down there for that reason, I'll check out the river. Ryan Radden says, there are also many forested areas on campus that are good to hike and look for herps. We walked the Tucker Woods on campus one day for a lab. Super cool and beautiful scenery. Yeah, Nacogdoches is gorgeous. Brady Baxter says, did you find the skunk ape in Florida? The skunk ape in Florida is kind of like their version of Bigfoot, or their iteration of Bigfoot. There's so many iterations of Bigfoot. What are your thoughts on cryptozoology? I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a second. What are your thoughts on cryptozoology? Are there any cryptids in particular that pique your interest? I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Growing up, I was obsessed with cryptozoology. Absolutely obsessed. For those of you who don't know, cryptozoology is the study of unknown animals that are either unestablished, thought to have been extinct, thought to be myth or legend. So the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, or the study, because there's not a whole lot of real studying going on here, of animals that were known to have existed but thought to have been extinct. We know they're extinct. like dinosaurs. Are dinosaurs still alive? Stuff like that. I used to be obsessed with cryptozoology as a kid because there were certain people that I was exposed to that at the time were very influential in my life, did an enormous amount of psychological damage on me that I took many years to recover from. But they were very, very heavily involved in preaching cryptozoology. Basically, these people thought that every single cryptid out there was real, and the only reason people didn't have like government funding to study them is because the government didn't want to admit they were real. Just a bunch of bullshit conspiracy theories. So here's my problem with cryptozoology. Number one, it's not a real science because it doesn't use the scientific method or any kind of academic study for the pursuit of its purpose. There are no academics involved of note that are regularly involved in cryptozoological studies or expeditions. There is no scientific methodology being used for these expeditions, or very, very little. It's very, very little. It is a lot of untrained people who have rhetorical and ideological goals that are the foundation for their efforts to find said animal. So the goal is not, oh, I'm genuinely suspicious of the existence of this animal. I genuinely think it might exist. It would be of great scientific value to find it. Let's go see if we can find this animal. Let's go see if we can find Mokele and Mbembe in the Congo, which is the name given for a supposed dinosaurid type animal. Let's find Bigfoot for its scientific value. Typically speaking, the ideological goals or the rhetorical goals or the political goals or the religious goals that motivate these people are the reason behind what they're doing, and it skews their ability to do it without prejudice and to do it correctly. So people want to prove that evolution isn't real. People want to prove that dinosaurs exist because they have some idea that it will further their religious cause, things like that. And that colors their attempt to prove these animals exist in any way that is meaningful, because they take shortcuts. They don't listen to scientific data. They don't follow the proper processes for this at all. So what you tend to have 99 times out of 100, 99,000 times out of 100,000 times, you have untrained, religiously motivated hobbyists going on what can only be described as vacations to prove the existence of an animal for some kind of religious or otherwise suspicious ideological purpose. And you find there's a good YouTube channel. There's not a lot of YouTube channels that tackle this subject. Actually, I've thought about taking this on in the past because there's a lack of this niche on YouTube. But there is one good channel. He uploads very few and far between, but what he does upload is very good, called Trey the Explainer. He has a very good series of videos on cryptozoology. Typically speaking, it's just people jumping to conclusions because they want something to be true. And 99 times out of 100, it is people allowing themselves to be led astray, allowing themselves to misinterpret data or photographs or other types of evidence because they are desperate to see this answer that they have already decided upon in their mind be the answer. So cryptozoology is not a real science. It doesn't have any real scientists involved in it that I'm aware of. There are academics and there are legitimate scientists involved in working around certain species that have recently gone extinct or are very, very, very most likely certainly extinct, and they're doing it for like genetic reasons, like genetic studies on these animals and stuff like that. Like Forrest Galante, I heard him give a whole speech on it at Animal Con, and actually have his biography right here. That's kind of the whole basis of like what made him famous was that topic, but he approached it from a very scientific point of view. So yeah, cryptozoology is generally a bunch of untrained people trying to put their own biases in the front of supposed investigation. I do not believe the vast majority of cryptids are real or still alive if they fall into that category. Dinosaurs are extinct. Sorry, but they are, except for the ones you see flying around. There is no such thing as Bigfoot. It is not real. There is no humanoid or primate that is Bigfoot. It is not real. It's people seeing black bears walking on their back legs, and hoaxes and misidentifications. People seeing shadows, bushes, thinking it's one thing or another. That's what Bigfoot is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. There's no such thing as the ropen. The ropen is not a pterosaur from the Papua New Guinea area. One of the things you'll notice about cryptozoology or this kind of stuff is that we learn new information academically about the existence of extinct animals. So if you take on the category of animals that are known to have existed, like dinosaurs, sauropods, pterosaurs, things like that. These are certain cryptids today, Mokele and Bembe, the ropen, all this stuff. They are believed to be modern surviving members of those families. And people are like, oh, we have eyewitness testimony that says like, oh, it looked like this, and that's what dinosaurs looked like. Or it says it looked like this, and that's what pterosaurs looked like. And then academically, we learn more information. Scientifically, we learn more information. We find fossilized pterosaur skin, and we realize that they had hair, visible hair. We find fossilized dinosaur skin, and we realize that their skin looked different, or we realize that sauropods were not as heavy as we once thought they were. They actually were slimmer animals than we originally had thought. And these eyewitness accounts never match the most current version of what we know academically about these extinct animals. They always tend to match whatever is believed to have been known at the time, because people are going off of information that they already have, and that colors their perception of what they're actually seeing, or they're using the information that they thought they had at the time to make a fake. And then as more information is discovered academically later on, it doesn't match up because it wasn't actually a dinosaur that they saw. So yeah, cryptozoology is fascinating. It is an underfulfilled niche on YouTube. It is a fascinating subject. More people need to approach that study from the point of view of an actual academic background. I don't have an academic background in that area, but somebody needs to approach it from that direction. We need the Dan McClellan of cryptozoology is what I'm saying. That would just be the best. Jason Fulton says, at everyone, don't forget to like. It helps with increased interactions. Yes, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Flama says, UFC 299 is stacked. Yes, it certainly is. Who is on that? I'm looking it up right now. Hang on a second. UFC, I think that's Sean O'Malley. Let's see who is on. Oh, I typed in UFC 199. And I was like, what? Luke Rockhold is back. Michael Bisping's back. No, 299. Sorry. UFC 299 is stacked. Yeah, so we got Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera, Chito Vera. I think Sean O'Malley should handle that fight pretty well. It might not go super easy for him. I don't know, but I think he should win. The fight I'm most interested in, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Really good fight. I'm a huge fan of Dustin Poirier, so I'll be going for him, but I don't know who's going to win that one. That's a really, really big fight for Benoit Saint-Denis. Women's flyweight, we've got Caitlin Shakugian versus Macy Barber. Macy Barber's always good fun. She's one of the fighters in her division who has a lot of natural power, so there's always the chance of a finish. Heavyweight, we have Curtis Blades versus Gelton Almeida. God, I think Curtis Blades is going to win that one. Unless he does something stupid, which he has been known to do. Curtis Blades, one of the most physically gifted fighters in the UFC. Like, that man is a unit. But occasionally will do really stupid stuff. But I should think he will win that fight. Lightweight, we have Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. Again, really good fight. I would imagine Mateusz Gamrot would win that. Rafael dos Anjos is one of my all-time favorite fighters, like, ever. so much of my personal like offensive grappling game is based on him. But he is getting older, and Mateusz Gamrot's kind of coming into his prime. So I would think Gamrot wins that one, probably by decision, but who knows? Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. That's a good fight at that weight. Lauren Murphy versus Karine Silva. I think she's the one with the really good kicking game. I should think she'll win that one. CJ Vergara versus Asu Almabayev. I don't know those two enough. I know Vergara a little bit. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. That is a good fight. I should think Gilbert Burns will win that. Jack Della Maddalena has not looked particularly brilliant in his last couple of fights. If Burns is recovering from, I think it was a shoulder injury that he got in the fight with, what's his name? Bilal Muhammad, whose nickname, ironically, is Remember the Name. Oh, shit. Bantamweight Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. That is a fight right there. Petr Yan and Song Yadong. That is a fight. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. Oh, my God. That is a sick fight. And then we've got heavyweight fights. I don't care about heavyweight fights. Oh, Michelle Pereira versus Michael Alexijic. Michael Alexijic. Oh, that'll be a good fight. Man, that is a stacked event. That is ridiculous. What day is this on? March 9th. Oh, it's so far away. Oh, it's so far away. I'm going to miss the next one. The next one is what's his face? Sean. What's his name? Strickland. Sean Strickland versus Trickus du Plessis. That should be a really good fight, but I'm going to miss that one because it is on the day. My wife and I's 5th anniversary is this Saturday, which is when that fight is. So I won't be able to see that fight. I'll have to go back and watch it afterwards. So it's gonna be a struggle trying to not like look at my phone on my 5th anniversary. Bonnie Smith. If I don't have Kevlar braid, what is a good substitute for alligator gar fishing? Let me think. You could do this. This might take some time, but you could take multiple strands of like 100-pound braid and weave them together, maybe 80-pound braid. You have to do like 3 or 4 strands and braid them tightly. You could do that. That would work. Kevlar braid really is the best. You can get it on Amazon. It's not hard to find. DuPont Kevlar braid, get it in like 300-400-pound tests, maybe 500-pound tests, depending on the brand. Some of them are thicker than others. You can get that on Amazon, but if you don't do that, you can weave several strands of 80 or 100-pound braid together very tightly. Wire works. American Fishing Wire is the company I like. Their PVC coated wire is okay. I tend to avoid wire with alligator gar if I can. With circle hooks on alligator gar, it doesn't matter that much because the gar isn't taking the hook back. You're getting that hook like here, not at the very corner, but like behind it, and you can still get the circle hook out, so the wire is not like fraying in its throat. But if you're using a J hook, then yeah, I would just say just make the effort to order you some Kevlar braid off Amazon. It really it is the best stuff for you and for the fish. Houston, Texas fishing videos, very specific. I like it. Will a Penn Fierce 4 8,000 combo be good for alligator gar fishing? Yes. Yeah, that'll be a good one. I can't speak to those rods because I haven't had the rod that comes in the combo, but from my understanding, they're pretty solid. And the 8,000 Penn Fierce 4, put 80-pound braid on that combo, you will catch damn good alligator gar. Absolutely. Let's kick some butt like old school shoot the box. You gotta say it like with your Brazilian accent. Shoot the box. Shoot the box was the like predecessor of modern MMA. So basically, think about MMA. Imagine everyone's wearing like really short, tight Valtudo shorts is what they call them. And there's like soccer kicks, where you can like kick people in the head, you can stomp people on the ground. Really like bare minimum rules. MMA in Brazil in the early 2000s, late 90s was what shootbox was. And then I think actually shootbox was a school of MMA in the early 2000s. I think they're still around. A lot of really great people like Vanderlei Silva and Anderson Silva came through shootbox. Jimmy R. Adventure says, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's true to an extent. There are certainly some people out there who do not work very hard who seem to get damn lucky. Um, a lot of it is also, while I get the point you're making, and it is largely true, it is also there's stuff out of your control that also contributes, like the more personal wealth you're born into helps with how lucky you get. Like you have a safety net, a financial safety net to take chances on things that you may not have if you're from a less privileged background. Like that is how people get lucky as well. They're born into it. But yes, there's hard work never like it may pay off, it may not, but it certainly won't hurt you. Hard work. Dum, dum, dum. Mike Eubank says, catch a python and use it as fishing bait. Yeah, I'd probably get in trouble. um, Here's the problem with that, because that would make a ridiculous video. Um, I I'm trying to think how you could pull that off. Because here's the thing. You obviously, if you catch a small python, the video is not going to get any views because people will see it and it'll just be a small snake. It doesn't matter if you have the word python in there. If it looks small, it's all about visuals. If it looks small, people won't want to watch it. The whole point of a python for bait is that you have this big snake, right? So if you have this big snake, how are you going to use it for bait? Oh, we have to quarter this thing, which you could do. It doesn't have to be the thumbnail. The thumbnail could be the snake draped around you. You have its head out by the camera like this with this big circle hook through it. Using giant python for bait catches, monsters, something like that. I'm probably going to do this video now that you said it. But then realistically, what are you going to catch with it? Because here's what you got to do. You got to quarter the snake. I say quarter. It's not even quarter. Catch a 10-foot snake. A quarter of that is like what, 2.5 feet? Cut big chunks out of it, which you could do. But what would you catch with it? Because you can't transport that bait. You can't take it out of the Everglades. You would get in so much trouble. You would get in so much trouble transporting a python carcass to throw back in the water out of the Everglades. And I don't think there's any fish in the Everglades big enough to take that bait. Now, what you could do is, it doesn't have to be a fish. You could use it somehow to catch an alligator. But you're in the Everglades. Everything in the Everglades is so, and properly, I will add, like correctly, so carefully monitored by Florida's Fish and Game, as it should be. The Everglades, man, I tell you what, it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I spent some time in the Everglades just for me. I was looking for pythons, but I did a lot of stuff just for me while I was there, kind of just exploring on my own. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. One of the last truly, truly, truly wild places left in America. There's a few places that fall into that category that haven't really been ruined yet. But the Everglades is one of the last of them. So rightfully so, you would get in a lot of trouble trying to improperly catch like an alligator in the Everglades. You would have to, here's the only way I could see this working. You'd have to have a hunting license and an alligator tag, which I think you can do in Florida. I know you can do it in Texas. I know you can do it in Louisiana. I think you have to draw for it. So you can't just say, like, I have my hunting license, I will go kill an alligator now. Like, you have to, like, draw for the tag to go hunt them. Or it's a very difficult process. I've never actually wanted to do it, so I don't have, I've never really looked into it. My uncle has talked to me about it. But you'd have to do that to legally catch an alligator. And it would have to be an alligator to use a bait as big as a piece of a python. So there's a lot to that, but I don't know, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that thumbnail alone would do some numbers. I'd have to really think about it, because you couldn't transport that snake ethically. You couldn't transport that snake and use it for bait in Texas or Louisiana or Mississippi or Alabama, where the snakes are not established yet. That would be horrifically irresponsible. So good idea. I'm gonna put some thought behind that and see how I can potentially use that. Because I mean, you could try it with like sharks. I'm trying to think. The Everglades kind of pushes right up against Florida's west coast. You might be able to get away with that using a big chunk of python as a shark bait. I might try that. Danny Chan says, I love your videos. A good spot here in Austin to catch alligator gar. None that I am aware of personally. And a lot of that is just the fact that I have fished in Austin so little. I'm trying to think. Let me pull up a map here. Hang on. Because you may not have alligator gar right in your downtown Austin zone like you do with carp. You have amazing carp in Austin. In fact, I would say Austin and Fort Worth probably have the best carp fisheries in Texas. Well, let me pull up a map over here on my computer. Computer, take me to Monster Island. I don't know if you guys have ever watched the Toho Godzilla movies growing up. I've seen them all. I love Godzilla, by the way. Godzilla Minus One is like one of the best movies I've ever seen. But Godzilla's Revenge. That was the one where the kid like imagines he goes to Monster Island and befriends Minya, Godzilla's son, who has conveniently the power to shrink to human size, so he can talk to the kid and then go back up to being like half of Godzilla size, and they fight off. I think it's Gabra, like the bully monster, the monster that bullies Minya, and that parallels the story of our protagonist getting bullied in real life. Anyway, let's look at Austin on the map. It's a scene in that where he's on his imaginary computer and he goes, computer, computer, take me to Monster Island. I think the Colorado River runs through Austin, and that is where you have all those carp. I think there are sections of the Colorado River further south where you can catch a good alligator gar, but let me see what the nearest place where I personally would say you should go for alligator gar. How close does the Brazos get to Austin? Where's the Brazos? Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive. I don't know. I don't have an answer to your question about the closest you could get. The closest you could get to catch alligator gar in Austin. There is a place here. Try this, because I pinned this on my map because I thought to myself, if I were to fish alligator gar in the Colorado River, this is where I would go. The Vernon L. Richards Nature Preserve. Around that area, not that exact spot, but around that area. Looking at it on the map, I can see a potential for alligator gar to be in that area. Maybe try that and let me know, because I have no experience fishing near Austin for gar. But if I were to try it, that's where I would try it. David Johnson says, I love all your videos. Thank you. I wish you well and hope you get better. Thank you. I mean, it's mostly better. Like before, I couldn't close my knee all the way. Now I can. It just clicks a little bit when, yeah, right there. Like when I close it, right? Right there. Right there. You can feel like the cartilage kind of getting shifted around in a very uncomfortable way. Shit. Fuck. This is the god damn. Did I hear of Brian Barczyk's passing today? No, this is the first I've heard of it. Damn. For anyone who doesn't know who Brian Barczyk is, he was one of the first. Shit. Fuck. God. Oh, man. He was one of the first herpetology influencers on really any form of social media to carve out. He carved out that niche. He started that niche. And I had personal disagreements on a lot of things about animal handling and filming with Brian Barczyk. But overall, I saw him as a force for good in the world of conservation. And he is the guy who called me personally and invited me to AnimalCon. He was a fan of my YouTube channel. And I met him when I was there. He's a fantastic man. And has done a lot to get a lot of people involved in the world of conservation through social media outreach. And yeah, he was sick. He made a point of saying at Animal Con that it was probably the last time we were gonna see an Animal Con organized by him personally. And he talked about his YouTube channel and how the YouTube channel is going to continue and how he's got plans to hand off. I do believe he was suffering from pancreatic cancer. And damn, God, that's horrible. That's really sad. I had heard that he had made kind of like a final goodbye on his channel. Final video saying that, like, he's gonna stop making videos. He's handing off the channel. He's gonna spend the rest of his time with his family. Um, I knew it was coming, but I didn't think it would be that soon. My goodness, damn. Well, he will be missed. His influence will continue to be felt, though. Motor Ed asks or says, "What did you think of Rodney Dangerfield?" I'm not a huge fan of Rodney Dangerfield. You know, what was his whole thing? Don't get no respect. No respect at all. Fama says, YouTube is weird. My best video blew up in the middle of December when I was busy graduating college. And then the moment I started posting videos again, the views are lower than ever. Might be the season. I don't know. I don't think the season has all that much to do with it. Some of my best videos, some of my most lucrative videos were posted during January. It's different for everybody. That's the thing. When you try to ask someone why a thing is happening, there is so much that goes into that answer that is personal and subjective and specific to the YouTuber who's having the issue that another YouTuber can't just answer it. But yes, we can agree that YouTube is weird. Sue S. Timmy's in the well again, Dad. Well, get Lassie to help. Brian Radden, when your dog was barking, my dog started barking too. He thinks there's another dog in the house right now. He's running around looking. Aw. Tell me what kind of dog you have. Psychic Toad says, I love catching snakes even more than fish. Yeah, same. Doesn't get the same views on YouTube, but I do personally enjoy handling reptiles and finding reptiles more than fish. I've seen a pic of Bigfoot. Jimmy R. Adventure says, I've seen a pic of Bigfoot. This guy's eyes filled with tears as he told the story behind it. It genuinely looked real and incredibly terrifyingly looking. He continues, it was in the deep woods of Washington. Wasn't a bear and it wasn't a costume. It was the most realistic looking costume I've ever seen. Yeah, man. Well, it was a photo. It was a photo. You didn't see the real thing. It could have been anything. Could have been anything. Could have been photoshopped. It could have been the most realistic suit you've ever seen. Like, photos are easy to fake, man. Photos are real easy to fake. Even back in the 60s, they were easy to fake. Sue S. Ant-Man's Adventures on YouTube is a great python hunter in the glades. Bet you could learn some great hunt techniques from him. Yeah, there's somebody, I can't remember his name, who messaged me, who has an enormous social media following. He has like 5 million subscribers, who offered me to go with him to catch python. And I'm going to take him up on that in the summer, if he will let me. Yes, Flamus. I forgot Bilal's name. The joke continues. I thought you knew 299 was stacked. Yeah, I did. I just forgot which event it was. Like, I knew Sean's card was stacked. I forgot that was 299. I couldn't remember if it was 298 or 299, or I knew it was one of the ones before 300 though. I didn't know it was that stacked. I forgot that many people were on it. The Chill Gamer says Elo, like hello. Houston, Texas fishing videos. One more thing before I go. What editing app did you use for your phone? And are you going to any Houston or Galveston surf fishing videos when this winter storm blows by? Yes, I'm going to do more surf fishing videos. I want to catch some really big red drum. And some sharks, but really the red drum, because I want to go to Florida for more sharks. The editing app I used on my phone was it was a Premiere Pro app for the phone. and they don't make it anymore. They phased that out years ago, unfortunately. I was very stressed at the time, but it was good for me because it forced me to move up to a computer and to up my game and all that. How much are the Denali bottom feeders 8 foot heavy action spinning? How much do they cost? They cost like $40, and plus shipping probably run you up to 70. At the most, because shipping any kind of rod is expensive. They are well worth it though. They are well worth it. The Depending on what you want to fish for, I'd probably recommend going with a medium heavy. The medium heavy is a little bit more versatile, and they are every bit as what do you call it? Every bit as reliable and dependable. I caught a 150-pound sturgeon on a medium heavy Denali spinning rod, and I caught a 7 foot alligator gar on a medium heavy, not the heavy, the medium heavy spinning rod. And they're more comfortable to use. They're a little bit more flexible. They fight a little bit better because the heavy action is so stiff. The heavy action works too really well, but I would say go medium heavy. About 40 some odd, $50, and then whatever shipping is going to be. But they are well worth it. They last a long time. They are tough as nails, and they catch really big fish. Serp says, did you see ACS in San Antonio? I'm assuming you mean San Antonio. Is doing a zero tolerance policy on leaving animals out in the cold. I did not, but that is good. That is good because leaving your babies out in the cold should come with tremendous consequences. As I get older and as I just fall more and more in love with my dog, I love dogs so much. As I get more and more emotionally attached to dogs and domestic animals, the more and more I think that people who mistreat them should be punished more and more harshly. It is just absolutely horrible what people will do to dogs. I have a fantasy where I run into the person who abandoned my dog to die before we found her. I have a feeling that someone's gonna be like, "Oh, where'd you get your poodle, bro?" Like, "Oh, I found it in a park ride in Angleton." Like, "Oh, bro, that might be the dog I left there," and then it's on. And then that person's whole life changes right there forever. Anyway, I think about that sometimes. If I ever find the person who did it, Anyway, one more thing. This is from Houston, Texas fishing videos. One more thing. What did you think about Joe Rogan watching me land the 300-pound alligator gar? Oh, I thought it was pretty cool. I can now say with certainty that Joe Rogan does know who I am, or at the very least, he knows what I did. He doesn't actually know who I am. But it's cool to watch like one of the most famous people in the world watch you on the biggest podcast in the world, even though he's just a how to put it. Joe Rogan is dumbass. He has just like the worst people on his podcast. His podcast has done so much damage to the state of affairs. But it's still cool to see a very famous person on a very famous platform talk about you. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If the Republican National Convention, like, or whatever the hell it is they do, if that comes around and Donald Trump's like, I was watching YouTube, tremendous platform, amazing social media platform, a beautiful platform, and this guy caught this fish. It was a beautiful fish. It was the best fish. He starts going on and he starts describing my channel. I'm gonna freak out, even though I hate him. It would still be so cool, you know. And by the way, I don't like anyone in politics. So don't think I'm saying like, oh, I hate this side, not this side. Like, nah, they're all the same. But anyway, my point is, like, no matter how much I hate a person, when they're that famous, for them to publicly like talk about you or publicly watch your YouTube channel, it's kind of shocking. Da, 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 da. How many languages can I speak? Unfortunately, just English. I do intend to change that. No, I need to learn Spanish. Like, I need to. And I want to learn Portuguese, which I got pretty good at a few years ago, but just fell out of it. Brian Taylor says, hello, love your vids. Thank you. You put out great content. I appreciate that. Ryan Radden says, my dog is like a terrier chihuahua thing. He's your daughter's dog. Actually, his name is Augie. Sounds precious. I love little dogs. I love all dogs, but I really love the little ones now that I have one. Motor Ed, what's your opinion of the pocket fisherman? Is that little contraption with like the fold out rod and like the little reel? I think that's what that is. There's a famous salesman who is if I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who was responsible for like the spray on hairpiece. He was one of the best sales techniques experts of all time. And he is also the same guy who pioneered those short little fishing rods that you see in stores that are like this long, that are actually functional. He came up with that idea. And somebody asked him once, and they said, who's going to use that? Who's going to fish with that? He said, it's not for fishing, it's for giving. And it's like, you're a genius. You are such a smart person. It doesn't matter who uses it as long as somebody is buying it. And if you buy it for some other reason than using it, like gifting, the sale is still happening. As a salesman, you are still winning, even if they're not actually using it. The buy is happening. And that's kind of what I think about the pocket fisherman. It's not for fishing. It's for gifting. It is for novelty gifting. It's for the novelty of it. Flama says, have you ever considered doing a multi-species challenge video here in Houston? Bounce around Houston, catching as many species as possible. Maybe. Going back to what I was saying earlier about getting my channel to a point where I can post videos that have good views based upon just titling the video what it is. I need to get to that point first. Right now, I'm still having to come up with the most insane thing to get any kind of decent viewership on my videos. So I would probably have to cross over that threshold to do it, which is part of the point of the videos that I'm about to start making. When I was saying like the projects are going to be bigger, they're going to be longer. I think that is part of the process of stepping into that a little bit more. So yes, eventually I would love to do something like that. Jason Fulton says, good night. I know of a great place to fish in Louisiana that we might cohabit this fall. Grand Isle. Big fish the first 2 weeks of October. Saltwater or freshwater? Given that it's the first 2 weeks of October, I'm going to assume it's like the red drum run, maybe you're talking about. Serp says, do you think you've actually figured out YouTube's algorithm? Everyone else seems like it's impossible to predict. It is impossible to predict. I haven't figured out YouTube's algorithm, but I have figured out is how people think. So I know what gets people to click. And if you can figure that out, you can get the algorithm to do your bidding for you. So yeah, nobody knows how the algorithm works. Don't waste your time trying to figure out the algorithm. Try to figure out how people think, and then by default, you will find your way in the algorithm. It may not happen every video, but it will happen with more videos than not. Okay, real quick, a couple of things. Everybody, keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled for the videos coming up. They are going to be big. They are going to be awesome. Multiple videos worth of content is going into one of these videos. It is going to be huge. I got the hell beat out of me making these videos. I hope you appreciate watching them. Loads of big, crazy, insane fish fights coming up. Really, really big, powerful, mean fish. Lots of them. Crazy exploration, crazy locations, psycho bait. It is going to be awesome stuff. I have my computer right here. I am editing right now. I'm putting these together. Really big, exciting projects on the way. My videos are going to go up a notch. Every single project I put out moving forward is going to be very, very, very involved. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be longer. Better fish, bigger fish, crazier animals. Each video is going to be the result of much, much, much more work per video. So keep your eyes peeled. Things are going up a level. All right. Is the next video the one that we have to share for the giveaway? I'm still working on that one. It might be. It might be. It depends. I'm still doing the giveaway. The original, the giveaway was originally like, obviously, it should be pretty obvious. The point was I was trying to give the video more reach by having you guys share it, and as a result of doing that, you win a prize, or potentially win a prize. I may not actually need the video to be shared to be successful. So now I'm still doing the giveaway. I'm still doing this exact thing, but I have freedom now to put it on a different video, if that makes sense. Since that video will no longer be completely dependent upon that tactic to be successful. There was a technical reason for it, but I think I figured out how to get around the technical reason. Now I can have that contest be done on any video I want. So it might be the next one coming out. I will let you guys know further into the week if that is in fact going to be the case. It probably will be. Probably, yeah. And by the way, guys, I haven't actually gone and bought the prize yet. It's going to be, I put a poll up on my channel of what you wanted the prize to be. There will be a fishing reel involved. I will probably put out a second poll. Spinning reel won the poll, but we're still, what class of spinning reel? Do you want microlight? Do you want your, 3,000 size catch 'em all reel? Do you want a big, heavy, big animal, size 8,000 reel? We don't know the size yet. I'll put another poll out there. What size do you want the reel to be? And then I will put some mystery goodies in there. So it'll be a mystery reel. All you'll know is the class, like what size it's going to be. I won't tell you the type of reel, and I won't tell you what things I'm putting in the box. It's going to be a mystery prize. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But we need to figure out what size reel we want to put in there. Psychic Psychtoad says, out here fishing by myself. Not right now, I hope. Out here fishing by myself and was hoping to, and something significant where the stream could end. Are you catching right? Are you fishing right now? You are crazy. Dude, I thought I was hardcore. I ain't fishing in that. Brady Baxter says, what's your favorite zoo aquarium that you've ever visited, and what's your bucket list zoo aquarium that you like to visit? My favorite one so far is probably the Fort Worth Zoo. For sentimental reasons, it might be the Ellen Trout Zoo in Lufkin. But as far as the one I've actually enjoyed going to the most, that I consider to be my favorite zoo, is probably, again, sentimental reasons, the Houston Zoo. But we're not counting that one because they're right there. Probably the Fort Worth Zoo. Animal Kingdom is great. I would love to go to San Diego, but, I mean, if we're talking, like, all-time bucket list zoo, the one that I've always wanted to desperately go to is the Singapore Zoo. I believe that's the one. It is largely considered by a lot of people to be one of the best and most influential exhibit design zoos in the world. The zoo in Singapore. I'd love to see that one. Yeah, you're fishing. Psychic Psychtoad is out fishing right now. My God. Well, let me know if you catch anything. I don't know how you're even typing with your fingers in this weather. You're a madman. Are you going to do any, this is Houston, Texas fishing videos. Are you going to do any catch and cook? Possibly. I do more of that on the Patreon, honestly. I'm trying to think if there's a scenario. You know what? There is a video that I'm planning where I might actually end up doing that. Now that you mentioned it, I didn't think about it before, but that would be a good video to do it. So possibly, yes. Possibly, yes. My dog is barking at the bin man outside. Have you ever been to a zoo you did not enjoy? And what is your reasoning if so? Hang on a second. Hey, babe. You can let her out. Have we ever been to a zoo that we actively did not enjoy? Like, have we ever been to one where we were like, this is not up to par, it's sketchy, or have we liked the ones that we've been to? Yeah, I can't think. Hey, you're okay. You're okay. There's a bin man out there, and he has like one squeaky wheel on his bin that drives her insane. I can't think of one off the top of my head been to that I didn't like. Most of the zoos I've been to, I've enjoyed quite a bit. Some of them are these grandiose, like Animal Kingdom is this massive operation with like everything is done at a level 10. And then some of them are these small little zoos that are just charming. just charming. Like the Gulf Breeze Zoo, I drove past the Gulf Breeze Zoo on the way home from Florida just the other day. We went there a few years ago, and like they're a small zoo, but it's a charming zoo. Like the Ellen Trout Zoo in Lufkin. It's small, but it's absolutely charming. All right. Have you ever thought of a hunting video? I thought about it. I think I might have some on the Patreon. If I do hunting videos, they're going to go on the Patreon, not the main channel. Cute dog, thank you. Dan Max says, good catch and cook with armored... Oh, ho, 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 ho. Catch and cook with armored catfish. Man, you know, I react that way because I'm thinking of where I find them. But I actually had somebody from Brazil write me and tell me that they love them. They said that when they prepare them, they're delicious, which makes sense in their natural habitat because they eat plants, right? Animals that eat plants tend to taste good. But I ain't eating them out of the Houston Bayou, that's for sure. That is not going to happen. Jason Fulton says, surprisingly, alligator gar are there. Add in jacks, tarpon, big. You're talking about the place you're going to fish soon. Alligator gar are there. Add in jacks, tarpon, big ladyfish, and some tuna species with some large sickle-shaped tail. They're avoiding sharks. Has to be some type of tuna. Yeah, probably bonito, maybe. I don't know. That sounds psycho, man. Let me know if you get on some fish down there. I would love to hear the results. That is a great... It sounds more like you're describing Florida than Louisiana. That's cool. Serp says, have you ever thought about keeping the snakes or other reptiles? When I was a kid, I caught and kept them all the time. Reptiles are more work and more expensive than almost any other type of animal. Reef fish, like tropical fish, are up there, but reptiles are so expensive, so specific. Also, I like when I go traveling, if my wife is also traveling or if we're going somewhere together, we board our dog. I don't know if I would trust anyone to A, be in my home while I'm gone, B, take care of a reptile. Falma says, where can I go to catch bowfin and possibly freshwater drum? Try Oyster Creek in Sugar Land. What? Not Oyster Creek, I'm sorry. Oyster Creek Park in Sugar Land. Bowfin are there. Not a lot of freshwater drum. Try Terry Hershey Park. Terry Hershey Park in Houston has a lot of bowfin. I'm trying to think of a good place for freshwater drum. Hey. Tell you what, I haven't... Hang on a second. Hey, he's not going to get you. He's not going to get you. He's not going to get you. The guy just hit the wall. The guy just hit the wall out there. She thinks he's trying to come inside. He's not coming in, babe. It's okay. He's not coming in. Nacogdoches, the Nacogdoches area, what do you call that river? The one where I catch all the white bass. Angelina River. The Angelina River, in the next couple of months, are going to have massive freshwater drum breeding. And you can catch them there up to 30 pounds. And then Nacogdoches itself, Lake Nacogdoches, I believe there is some creeks around Lake Nacogdoches that has some good bowfin in it. So you might do a trip up that way and be able to hit them both. The reason I ask is because Oh, wait, hang on. Bonnie Smith says, have you ever been fishing anywhere in Oklahoma? I haven't, actually, surprisingly. I've been fishing in New York City. I've been fishing in Idaho. I've been fishing in Florida. I've never been to Oklahoma to fish in Oklahoma, even though I've been to Oklahoma loads of times growing up. I want to, though. Tremendous catfish scene that they have up there. But that's all they have up there. Like, literally, there's nothing else in Oklahoma. Like, nothing. Serp says, the reason I ask is I currently keep a number of reptiles in bioactive display vivariums, and there are no maintenance aside from the plant watering and animal feeding. Well, I'm glad that's working out for you. Typically, to keep reptiles, you got to have very high quality terrariums, as well as like heating and stuff like that. And all different types of reptiles have different specifics that they need for those things. So it's cool that you're able to do it without that much maintenance. But even just having them means that like my ability to travel gets limited right away. which at the moment is not something I want to compromise. Psychic Psych Toad answering your question from before says the San Jacinto Bridge at 59 has drum, freshwater drum. Flymass definitely noted because I feel like bowfin are forgotten about. Yeah, they're a really cool fish. That's cool. Snakehead. Not that they're related, but they're the most. What's the word? Oh my god, I'm blanking. This is how you know I'm getting tired. Morphologically, they're very similar in terms of like their appearance. How much does all Houston, Texas fishing videos? How much do all my rods and reels cost? Thousands. I have currently like 50 rods and 50 reels of varying price. Some of them are cheap, some of them are incredibly expensive. So thousands. Serp says oh yes, of course, all animals are all animals are different and all that, but with bioactive cleaning goes out the window. But normal heating, humidity, and stuff has to be taken into account, especially for you're a retic. You have a reticulated python? That's cool. I love reticulated pythons. They are so neat. Maybe, again, like with fish, my opinion would change the moment I saw or thought of a different species. But at the moment, reticulated python are among the most beautiful of all the snakes, in my opinion. Tips on catching gar in the cold. Persistence. That's my tip. It's not easy. You have to stack the odds in your favor by doing it continuously. Any knot tying videos? San Bernard in Wallace has a lot of freshwater drum. I think I have like 1 or 2 knot tying videos from way back. I need to do more knot tying videos as like YouTube shorts. That's something I'll probably start doing. It's like a little short videos on how to tie the knot. Like in 60 seconds or whatever. All right, guys, keep an eye out for all the videos coming up. I'm going to head out. Just in case. Greetings from Romania, brother. I am a fan of your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I am headed out of here, guys. We've been going live for 2 hours. I just wanted to give you all the heads up. Huge things on the way. Massive videos upcoming. Incredible fish. Incredible variety of other animals, by the way, in some of these videos. Not just fish. I do some herping in these videos. That I had a load of fun doing, as you can see from the thumbnail on this live stream. Lots of cool stuff coming up in the next couple of videos. The channel is going up a notch. Bigger, better videos. Bigger, better fish. Bigger, better challenges. Bigger, better baits. So like, subscribe, share. Check out the Patreon if you're not already on the Patreon. Loads of extra videos. Loads of locations mapped out and detailed, what I would refer to as a virtual guiding service. So I'm doing the same thing a guide does. The only difference is that I'm not taking you there myself. And the other difference, because I'm not taking you there, is it's less expensive. So instead of paying $300, you get all the information in my brain about the area, and it's $5 a month. And with that, you also get loads of extra videos and behind the scenes, and pretty direct access to me. Pretty much direct access to me. All right, guys, but I'm headed out. I appreciate everybody's love and support. It is good to hear from all you guys again. We are back. Our break is over, and we are back. And I will catch you guys on the next upload very soon.